I first encountered David in the college student grill. He struck me as the strong, silent type, not one to dominate conversations, but rather to engage thoughtfully when prompted. His demeanor exuded care and politeness, and he was an attentive listener. When alone, he appeared lost in deep, often somber contemplation, though his disposition shifted markedly when in company. He was a puzzle I was eager to unravel. One day, when the tables were full, I mustered the courage to join him. To my surprise, he welcomed me warmly, expressing genuine pleasure at my company. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, punctuated by his rare but genuine laughter at my self-deprecating humor. I found myself drawn to him, his smile becoming a beacon of joy in our exchange. It was clear, I was falling for him, swiftly and deeply. As our meetings became routine, I couldn't help but wonder if he'd ever make a move. Taking matters into my own hands, I offered him tickets to a Phil Collins concert, presenting it as a casual invitation. His initial response, questioning whether I had a boyfriend, threw me off guard, but he quickly reassured me of his genuine surprise and appreciation. I seized the opportunity to tease him playfully about his perception of me, reveling in his bashful response. The night of the concert was enjoyable, though his reluctance to initiate physical contact left me feeling a pang of self-doubt. In subsequent weeks, our grill rendezvous continued, but my impatience grew. Finally, I confronted him, questioning his feelings toward me and his reticence to ask me out on a proper date. His response was both endearing and unexpected. He confessed his fondness for me but emphasized his desire for a deeper connection beyond mere physical attraction. Though disappointed by his reluctance, I couldn't help but admire his sincerity and integrity. Despite our unconventional start, our bond continued to deepen, guided by mutual respect and a shared desire for genuine connection. David may have been hesitant to take the lead, but his sincerity and depth of character only endeared him to me further. I would like to, but that could, not would, eventually put us on a trajectory that might end up in us getting married. There's no reason to get on that trajectory if there is no chance in us getting married. I require two things before I seriously date a girl. I need to meet her parents who must approve of me dating her, and she must know that I do not want to have children. Think about what I just said. If you agree, set a day and time to meet with your parents. Please understand that even if you agree to those two things and we do date, that does not necessarily mean we will get married. It's just that I won't start the journey unless you do. I was taken aback. Most of my past boyfriends hadn't expressed interest in meeting my parents. I suppose the prospect of my parents seeing through their intentions might have deterred them. The no-kid stance wasn't entirely unheard of and could perhaps be discussed later. I didn't have strong feelings either way. Dave was certainly challenging my perceptions about men. I phoned my parents, warning them not to overreact. We arranged to meet my parents one evening. Dave initiated the conversation after some initial pleasantries and got straight to the point. He expressed his appreciation for the opportunity to meet with them before embarking on a relationship with me. He explained his approach to dating, emphasizing its seriousness and his desire to explore the possibility of a future together. Then he addressed his stance on not having children, citing personal reasons he preferred not to disclose. After his speech, there was a pause before my father responded. He acknowledged that as an adult, I didn't need their permission, but he respected Dave's consideration in seeking their approval. He gave his blessing for us to date. My mother echoed his sentiments, prioritizing my happiness over her desire for grandchildren. Dave and I left, grateful for their understanding and support. I hugged him tightly, appreciating the warmth of his smile, which had always endeared him to me. Our dating life began that night. Dave continued to impress with his words and actions, and our relationship grew more intimate over time. While we shared passionate kisses and explored physical closeness, we refrained from engaging in certain sexual activities. I found release on my own after our dates. After a year of exclusive dating, I felt we had reached a comfortable stage, but I wondered about our future direction as a couple. Dave, I love you. If you love me, tell me where you see we are headed as a couple. Nancy, I love you very much. I think it is time for us to discuss marriage. I hope that doesn't frighten you as much as it does me. Frighten me? Dave, sometimes you seem completely clueless. If you're asking, I am saying yes. Well, then, I'm asking. Nancy Jackson, will you marry me? Wait a minute, let me think about that. Okay, yes. We got married after graduation in a simple wedding to save money. In a few months, we both had nice jobs. Dave proved to be great in bed and seemed to like lots of foreplay before having sex. He didn't prove tentative like the virgin I had assumed he was. He never said anything about women he had dated and or had sex with. Nothing was ever said about my obvious lack of virginity by either of us. Dave was wonderful around the house and shared chores willingly. He asked often if he was doing enough to help out. I always received compliments on my cooking, cleaning, washing, and especially my ability to satisfy him in bed. My female coworkers were immensely jealous. Our home life was full of energy focused on communication, caring, love, sex, and laughter. To save money, we didn't eat out a lot and stayed in playing board or card games instead of going out to movies or concerts. An old movie on DVD and popcorn was a regular Friday night thing along with the snuggling. The one way I was surprised by Dave was when he turned out to be a consummate tease and jokester. That was supposed to be my forte, so I was not about to be outdone. It was as if April Fool's Day came at least once a month in our house. I still get a smile on my face just thinking about those days and some of the pranks we pulled on each other. Almost 1 year into the marriage, a major incident happened. At the time, I feared I might lose my husband over it. Despite being on the pill and taking it regularly, I became pregnant. 3 home pregnancy tests and 2 doctor's tests were all positive. I was afraid to tell him. I didn't want to lose him. I held off until he noticed the early morning sickness and asked what was wrong. The dam burst and I blurted out, "I'm pregnant." "I'm sorry." I was shedding some serious tears. Dave didn't change his stoic facial expression. After a pause, he said, "Let's talk about this after you calm down." It took me a few minutes to compose myself before he asked, "What does your gut emotions tell you about what you would like to have happen?" I replied, "Dave, I want to have the baby, but if you want, I will keep my promise to you not to raise a child with you. I will agree to put the child up for adoption, but I will not have an abortion. You can decide for us to keep the baby or put it up for adoption. I hope we keep it. Nancy, I don't believe in killing babies either. I am very touched when you said you would allow it to be adopted. That tells me a lot about your love and our marriage. I do believe in supporting you like you support me. I will have to give up a formerly held strong belief to do what you wish. In order for me to be happy in our marriage, you have to be happy. I agree for you to keep the baby. I promise to be the best possible father I can. You will never hear a word or regret from my mouth from this day forward." I ran and jumped into his arms with tears of joy. Krista was born and she was beautiful. Dave kept his word, and I could not have expected a better father for a child. She was only 6 months old when he surprised me again. I don't think it's good for a child to be an only child. How about we give her a brother or sister in a year or so? You can stay home and be a mother for a while. I will get a vasectomy after our second child is born. I was stunned. All I could get out was a week, okay? Melody was born almost exactly 2 years after Krista. I took off work a few years and then went back to my old job when it became available again. At no time did I detect a problem with Dave's willingness to parent. That's not to say I didn't suspect he had some problem. I just wasn't sure what the problem was or what to do about it. Like in college, when I would see him alone in the student grill, Dave would sit in his chair at times and appear to get lost in thought. It would make him sad to the point of tears sometimes. As wonderful he was in all the ways you would want a husband to be, I got the impression that he was holding back something from me, our marriage, and our family. He was not fully into being my husband and the girl's father. Since I had more good husband stories than my friends had about theirs, I blessed my lucky stars for what I had. Present day. With the oldest girl in college and the second one getting ready to go, I did the empty nest life review. I remembered how exciting dating was before marriage and having sex with Dave was after I got married. We barely left the bedroom some weekends in the first year. 2 children, jobs, and paying bills year after year seemed to drain the thrill out of being married like a birthday balloon losing its helium. I missed a lot about the good old days when we were first married and there was just the two of us. We had a lot of fun. I struggled to find a new purpose in my life. I had a hole in my life the kids had once filled. How could I fill that hole now? Having an affair was an option I had considered at times because of the offers I got from some very handsome men. I was still being hit on by men even at my age. To some, my being married seemed to add to my attributes rather than be a hindrance. There were a couple of times when the right man and the right circumstances seemed to assure me that my husband was not likely to find out if I strayed, but I never did more than flirt. We often teased each other about having an office wife and an office husband. I spent a lot of time watching Dave that he was not aware of. There were times just like before when I would see Dave looking off into space and have a sad face on. I would ask if something was bothering him and he would say, nothing. I knew it wasn't just nothing. I suspected some tragedy had happened in his past he was not comfortable sharing. What could I do? One day it hit me, laughter that was what I was missing the most from the old days. Dave used to do anything to make me laugh and vice versa. I have one of those snorting laughs. When I would breathe in while laughing, I sound like a pig. That, in turn, would cause more laughter and so on until we were both crying from laughter. For several years before the kids were very old, we played practical jokes on each other as a way to laugh and have fun. That practice seemed to fizzle out. I guess we thought we needed to set a more mature example for our kids. Now, I believed it was time to start them up again, especially since April would soon arrive. Our marriage could stand perking up. I spent weeks leading up to April 1st working to set up my prank. I talked about a new man in the office and how all the women were mooning over him. I bragged how Evan danced when we had an office party Dave couldn't attend. I started working overtime at work and having a girls' night out once a week. I took a shower after coming home before I would get in bed. I began gradually cutting Dave off from oral and vaginal sex with a variety of excuses. I nagged him about doing his chores. I complained that I had to redo many of his chores because he had not done it correctly. I overseasoned, undercooked, or otherwise ruined many of our supper meals. Despite his exasperated expressions, he didn't complain about anything but looked ready to pop. When the first day of April came, I was anxious, but I was ready. It was about 6 o'clock on the night of April 1st when the doorbell rang. Dave, you get that? It's probably for you anyway. Really, Nancy? I guess it doesn't matter that you are only 10 feet from the door. I'm exhausted. It won't kill you to do something nice for me for a change. Dave walked reluctantly over to the door. I knew what he would find waiting for him. There was a woman our age standing there with a package in her hands with her head down. She did not look like what I thought a server would look like. Dave greeted her. Yes, can I help you? Are you David Livingston? She was still looking at her feet. Yes. Can you show me some ID? He pulled out his wallet and showed his driver's license. The good part was about to come. I almost giggled in anticipation. Did you go to Anderson County High School? I wondered, why did she ask that? That wasn't part of the script. Yes, why do you want to know that? Did you date a girl named Allison Kirk? What is going on? I got up and headed to the door. Dave got very upset, but finally responded, yes, we dated, but then she moved away. I'm afraid to tell you, but she died many years ago. The girl raised her head and looked him in the eye. No, I didn't, Dave. I'm right here and more alive than I have ever been. David looked at her again. His eyes got big. I thought he was going to faint. Ollie? Ollie? My God, is that really you? Her face was full of tears now. Yes. But your parents told me you were dead. They said you had committed suicide because of me. It was a lie to keep you from trying to find me. David reached out and pulled her to him. They were hugging and kissing. I didn't think they would ever stop. I thought I would never see you again in this life. Come in, please, before I have a heart attack. They went and sat next to each other on the couch. I went to my recliner. They were holding hands and giggling like two giddy teenagers. I was being totally ignored and it made me angry. I interjected, "Excuse me, you too. Dave, can you tell me what the hell is going on here? Who is this woman and why are you pawing all over her?" "Nancy, this is Allison Kirk, my first and only true love. I've never told you about her because it brought up too many sad memories for me. I thought she was dead. Her being here is a miracle for me." "Your only true love? I beg your pardon. What am I?" "Allison and I were high school sweethearts and deeply in love. We were sure we were going to get married and raise a family after graduation. Her parents were very conservative and were opposed to me as a potential son-in-law. We weren't even allowed to date. Allison would sneak out late at nights. When everything is forbidden, sex didn't seem that out of bounds. We were going to be married soon. We would have sex whenever we could. I ran out of condoms one time, and we took the chance. Allison got pregnant. We planned to elope and get married, but Allison was still too young to sign for herself. We needed one of her parents to co-sign. We hoped her being pregnant and me willing to marry her would convince them to sign, but soon after Allison told her parents, they took her and moved overnight. I never heard from her directly again until now. Her parents called out of the blue in a few months after they left and told me Allison had committed suicide because of having a child out of wedlock. The baby died when she did. Dave then turned to Allison. Dave was in tears when he asked, "Allison, what happened to our baby? Did you have an abortion?" "No, I didn't want to, and my parents wouldn't have let me anyway. They made up a story to tell other people about my husband being in the army and getting killed. Actually, our son is a junior in college now. He has my intelligence and your athletic body. I hope you will get to meet him soon. When I told him about you after my parents' funeral, he said he wanted to meet you as soon as possible." "What's his name?" "I wanted to name him after you at birth, but my parents wouldn't allow it. He had the name Justin until recently. I had his name legally changed to David Austin Livingston, Jr. with his full approval." Dave was bawling like a baby now. "Of course, I want to meet him. Someone pinch me. I can't believe this is happening." I spoke up, "Neither can I. David, this has gone far enough. Please ask this person to leave our house immediately. You and I have some major issues to discuss in private." Dave got a look of angry determination on his face I had never seen before. "No. I lost Allison once and I'm not going to lose her again." I sat in shock. Dave continued his questions. "Allison, what happened to you when you left?" "My parents gave me an ultimatum, leave with them or they would never support me again. Dave, I was a pregnant teenager with no financial support other than my parents. You had no money to support yourself, much less a family. It tore my heart out to leave you, but I didn't have much of an option. I went with them and kept my promise to never contact you. I had to agree to that to keep them from putting our baby up for adoption. I lived in hell for 20 years. If I hadn't had our son, I probably would have committed suicide. I thought many times of how I could contact you without them finding out. They threatened to take Justin away with them and I would never see him or them ever again. They watched me like a hawk. I had no cell phone. I had no money of my own. I never went out with other people unless they were with me. It was bizarre. They even took me to a guy with a polygraph periodically and asked me if I had tried to contact you. Everything changed overnight when my parents died in a car accident 6 months ago. Suddenly, I had the hope of seeing you that had been suppressed so long. Dave, it has taken me these last few months to find you. I found information on you. When I discovered that you were married, I almost gave up. I did not want to break up a happy marriage. Instead, I have been watching you and your house to see if I could determine if you were happily married. I'm not ashamed to say I was hoping you were not. Then some young woman came over to my car today and asked if I knew where David Livingston lived. I pointed to your house. She said, "Damn, I hate to serve people." She told me that your wife was having you served for divorce. I took it as a sign from God. I bribed her to let me do it. I assumed that if your wife was divorcing you, I might have a chance to live again with you. Someone was about to serve me? She handed Dave the packet. "Oh yeah, David, you've been served." He took the package and was about to open it. I yelled, "Please don't open it. It was an April Fool's joke. Just ignore it." He read over the document. I could see the anger building in his face. If Allison hadn't shown up, receiving this divorce petition would have broken my heart again. "Nancy, how could you be so evil?" "I guess I should thank you, though. I have absolutely no guilt now in asking Allison this." He turned to Allison and took her hands into his. "Please tell me you're not married." "Of course not. I have never been even slightly interested in another man." "Does it upset you that I got married? Dave, you thought I was dead. You did what it took to survive. I can't hold that against you." "Allison Kirk, will you marry me?" I screamed. "What did you just say?" "Oh yes, Dave, yes, yes, yes." They embraced each other. "You can't marry her, damn it. You're still married to me." "Not for long." He took out a pen and signed the documents. "There, marriage over." "That's not how it works. I'm going to drop the divorce. We're still married." "Fine. I'll just file my own papers as soon as I can. I'll be fair as possible." Allison spoke up. "Dave, don't squabble over money. I have a good job and my parents left me quite a lot of money. You could leave her all your money and we'd still be okay." I was seething. "What about me? I will not be okay. The main asset I want is him, not his money or his property. Damn it, Dave, we have 20 years of marriage and 2 kids, for God's sake. What will the girls think about you dumping me for an old girlfriend?" "Nancy, I am holding a divorce petition that you had prepared asking for a divorce. That more than kind of says you don't want me as a husband anymore. You made it clear that the new guy at work is who you want, and probably already have had. I think the girls understand when I tell them the full story. In the long run, they will probably love Allison and their new brother. I told you that it was an April Fool's joke. I didn't really intend to divorce you. The new guy at work is a myth. I just wanted to do something silly and pull one of my pranks. I wanted to put a little spark back in our marriage. I'm afraid that you smothered what faint little spark there was if that was the case. I think what you are doing is more of a I didn't want you until someone else wanted you situation. Allison, give me a second to gather up a few things." He headed upstairs to our bedroom. There we 2 women sat, his true love and his stupid wife, or ex-wife depending on how you looked at it. Allison spoke. "Mrs. Livingston, I'm sorry to upset you like this, but David and I have something eternal between us. I truly think our reunion was meant to be. Just be happy for the many years you had him. I would have loved to have had those years. Instead, those 20 years were sheer agony for me. I love him more than life itself. You husband-stealing bitch. I ought to kill you. No threats, bribes, delay tactics, or anything else will stop us now. This is the moment I have waited too many years for, and I'm not about to give it up for you or anyone else. We deserve a chance at some happiness in our lives." "What about the happiness in my life? What have I done to deserve this? What are you bitching about? I would have never approached him until I found out you were divorcing him. Didn't you hear me? It was a damn joke. An April Fool's joke. You are pathetic. How do you get off on torturing the one you supposedly love more than anyone else? What a cruel bitch you are. I hope we never see your nasty face again." "You will. I will fight this divorce tooth and nail." Dave came down with a couple of packed bags. He turned to me. I know this comes as a surprise, but thinking of Allison was what caused me to look so pensive and sad at times. I was thinking about what I had lost when Allison and our baby died. "Nancy, I cared deeply about you and our marriage until the last few months. Frankly, I was not surprised to be served for divorce. It was obvious that you didn't care much for me anymore and believed you had better options with men from your office. I suspected you have been cheating during your work-late sessions. As I said, I will be fair in the divorce. I think it would be best for us to not have any more contact except through our lawyers." Allison, can we go meet our son now? Of course, my love. They kissed. I didn't remember ever being kissed so passionately by him. I watched as they walked to their cars. She took off first and he followed close behind. So much for my April Fool's joke. Then it hit me. You idiot. This was David's April Fool's joke on me. I started laughing. That son of a bitch got me. He got me good. I wonder where he got Allison or whatever her real name is. She is some great actress. I expected they would come back by dinner and gloat over how they had tricked me. They did not. Nor were they there in the morning. Damn, they are really stringing this joke out. It wasn't until I received his divorce papers from me that I realized it wasn't a joke. I tried fighting the divorce, but it became clear after 6 months of counterproposal battles that the three of them had already become a new family without us being divorced. I gave up, sold the house, and moved closer to the girls who did, unfortunately for me, like their new stepmother and stepbrother. They thought the miracle reunion of their father and his true love and son was a hallmark moment with barely a sympathy card for me. Not much has changed in my life in the years since our divorce except for the grandkids we share with all the civility I can muster at family gatherings. My worst time is when every April 1st comes around and I am reminded of what happened. It wasn't all my fault. Who in the hell gets reunited from their long-lost sweetheart and son they thought were dead? We might have eventually gotten a divorce anyway, but I made it a lot easier with my practical joke. I don't play any April Fool pranks anymore. Write your opinion in the comments. Thanks for watching and have a great day.